It is the question everyone's asking Governor Mike Braun right now. Will he call a special session for state lawmakers to consider redrawing Indiana's congressional districts?
Well, he's not saying just yet. The governor says he wants to hear what legislators think about that. And some of them over the last couple of weeks have been giving their thoughts, and even more of them did after a trip to D.C. yesterday in the White House. That's where they met with members of the Trump administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance.
13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker talked with some of those lawmakers and also has the latest from Governor Braun. Hey, Emily.
Hi, Felicia and Dustin. Republican leaders in both Indiana's House and Senate say that redistricting was part of the conversation yesterday in D.C., but it was not the entire conversation. Meantime, Governor Braun said today before he would call a special session, it would have to be clear what Indiana lawmakers think of the idea. Republican House Speaker Todd Houston released a statement today about the meeting that didn't indicate one way or the other whether he supported a special session. Houston's statement read in part, quote, "A wide range of topics were discussed, including education, energy, immigration, fiscal responsibility, and redistricting, and members were able to ask questions and share their thoughts. We look forward to Indiana continuing to have a strong partnership with the Trump administration." Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray also released a statement calling the meeting, quote, "extremely productive," saying in part, quote, "While redistricting did come up and members were able to ask questions, we spent the bulk of our afternoon discussing issues like energy, immigration, and preventing waste and fraud in government." Governor Braun was asked today if he'd made a decision yet about calling a special session.
I've been very clear, unequivocal about it. And that's going to have to be clear from the legislators and the two leaders of the caucus to where they have time to sort through it. I think yesterday was a punctuation point. Haven't heard any of the details. You've read the two statements that the two leaders released. And I think it's going to be a continuation of a process to where there's going to be strong support one way or the other before a governor would ever have enough information to see if it's necessary to do it.
Meantime, some Hoosiers are also making their voices known on the issue. Hundreds showed up at a rally yesterday at the State House to protest, calling a special session to redraw Indiana's congressional districts. Of the state's 9 districts, right now 7 congressional seats are held by Republicans, 2 seats are held by Democrats. So could redrawing those districts put some of the 7 seats that Republicans hold at risk? That is something for Republican lawmakers to consider when they decide whether or not to hold a special session. We've talked to some of the lawmakers who were in D.C. At least one of them was a hard no before going for the meeting. That was Republican State Representative Jim Lucas. And coming up tonight at 6, we're going to hear from him about his thoughts and why that hard no has softened quite a bit. Dustin, Felicia?
And Jim Lucas isn't the only one who was a hard no and is now saying, well, maybe not. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. Emily, thank you.